Okay, this is my chapter 20 reassessment video. In a circuit, a parallel combination of a 10 ohm resistor and a 7 millihour inductor is connected in a series with a 5 ohm resistor and a 6 volt DC battery and a switch. My first problem is, what are the voltages across the 5 ohm resistor and the 10 ohm resistor respectively immediately after the switch is closed? My second problem is, what are the voltages across the 5 ohm resistor and the 10 ohm resistor respectively after the switch has been closed for a long time? And C is my last problem, and is, what is the current in the 7 millihour inductor after the switch has been closed for a long time? I drew the diagram from the book. It's not very good, but there it is. And then my givens, I wrote them down from the problem. And the EMF is 6 voltages. The inductance is 7 millihours, and I changed that to 7.0 times 10 to the negative 3 hours. I have two resistances. R1 is 5 ohms, and R2 is 10 ohms. Okay. In my first problem, I'm looking for the voltages in both of my resistors. So you use the loop rule. So it's 6 volts minus I times 5 ohms minus I times 10 ohms equals 0. And once you rearrange that problem, you're going to get I equals 6 voltages over 15 ohms, and it gives you a current of I equals 0.40 amps. The voltage across the 5 ohm resistor, I wrote voltage, which is V, and then the little 5 equals I times R1, and that's going to be the current times your resistance. And then I plugged in the current that I got up here and the 5 ohm resistance. And for the 5 ohm resistor, it's going to be 2 voltages, or 2 volts. And then I did the same thing, but I used 10 instead. So the voltage of 10 equals I times R2, and then plug the same thing in, and I got 4 volts. Okay, the current in the inductor is no longer changing after the switch has been closed for a long time. So it would be a short circuit, or treated like a short circuit. And since the constant flow, it would be a constant flow, the current that flows through the 10 ohm resistor would be 0. And then since the entire voltage of the battery is across the 5 ohm resistor, the voltage across it would be the 6 volts that we got from that battery, which is right here. Okay, coming back down. And for C, it's gonna be I equals the voltage over the resistance, and that's gonna be the 6 volts, and then the 5 ohms